Well, that two-game winning streak was nice while it lasted, wasn't it? Well, the Jets dropped a tough game in New England, as most of us expected, and now it's on to Baltimore. But more than preview this game against the Ravens, I want to spend a little time talking about Justin Fields and why I don't believe it was a mistake for the Jets to sign him. Why, despite the performance, why is that? We're going to talk about all of that. But guys, you know what's up. It's Wednesday night, it's 6 p.m., and we are live. And well. Welcome everybody back to New York Sports Wicker Media. I'm Watch2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. And we are here for our weekly Wednesday Night Live extravaganza. First of all, before we get into anything, I want to thank everybody for having a little bit of patience. Was not able to start the show at the usual 6 p.m. time, so really it's 6:30 tonight. But there have been a few issues going on, medical issues, vehicle issues, not my medical issues, but family related. I'll just leave it at that. And I'm pretty much in the market to get a new vehicle at this point. So a few unexpected things have been going down, but we roll with it. I am here. I'm here for you guys. You are here for me as well. I appreciate it more than I could ever express. All right, now that we got all the sappy crap out of the way. Let's get into the show tonight. And by the way, please feel free to leave a comment. If you got any thoughts on your mind, questions for me, let's chat, because as I always say, the show is a whole lot more fun when you're doing it with me, when we're interacting and going back and forth. First of all, I got to say hello to the great Tony Alexio. Tony comes in. He always comes in hot with a big idea. He wants to make Justin Fields inactive and unleash Brady Cook. Well, you know what? Aaron Glenn did not close the door on the idea of that happening. But I do have confidence that this staff will know when the time is right to give Brady Cook a chance. They're not going to rush him in just to appease a fan base, for a couple of days, only to put him in, have him look completely incompetent, basically look like Shadur Sanders Part 2, and all of a sudden it's like, why did we rush him? We ruined him. But maybe in the last 4 weeks of the season, I think Brady Cook would make sense. I just don't know if right now is the time. But I have a feeling we will see him before the year is over. Hey, David, how are you doing? Always good when you're here. David D. I'm guessing he's pretty happy about his Islanders. Greetings. Yeah, let's take off. There you go. All right. I had to actually throw everything together pretty quickly. I think I've got all the slides that we need. But if not, I'll just kind of sneak them in. And a quick reminder, guys, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Helps spread the word about the channel. Gets it out there, which we always want to do. 15 likes, we spin the Jets wheel, or $15 in Superchats, we'll spin the wheel there as well. So multiple ways to get the wheel done tonight, and that's the way that we're going to set it up from now on. So likes, thumbs ups, $15, it all works. All right, guys, let's get into what's on my mind in a segment that we like to call 3 and Out. All right, so the first thing that I think that I got to talk about, let's spend a minute here on basketball. The Knicks lose by 2 to Miami on Wednesday. This team just completely unable to win a game on the road. And now you've got OG Anunoby out for multiple weeks with a hamstring strain. Every year this guy gets hurt. Good as he is, when he is on, the Knicks are one of the best teams in the NBA. I don't think there's any question about it. The problem is he gets hurt way too much, but better now than later. Jalen Brunson working his way back. Latest I've seen, he's questionable for tonight's game against Dallas. The Knicks will be playing at the American Airlines Center. That game happening at 9:30. As far as baseball goes, well, we're still kind of waiting for a couple of shoes to drop. Trent Grisham accepts the qualifying offer. He comes back to the Yankees, so he will make $22 million next year, and then back to the free agency market he goes. Rumors that the Yankees are trying to bring back Cody Bellinger. They absolutely should. I think he fits in very well there. And the Mets are making a lot of players available in trade. Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil, Kodai Senga, Luis Angel Acuna, Mark Vientos. Lots of guys available to get. And thankfully, they released Frankie Montas, which was much needed. Certainly the worst move David Stearns has made during his time as the vice president of baseball operations because they need to open up spots on the 40-man roster. By doing that, they can protect Nick Morabito, who I think is going to be a very useful sort of bench outfielder for this team. He's a player worth protecting. And the truth is, the Mets just signed a couple of guys that aren't even – I'll put it this way. The Mets have at least 3 pitchers on their 40-man who are getting Tommy John surgery. There's no reason to have them on the 40-man. Reed Garrett's there. Tyler McGill's there. Daniel Nunez is there. So let's get them off the 40-man roster, okay, so we can get a few free agents in here. All right, and as far as the Giants go, hey, they put up a good battle against Green Bay. Packers get the 27-20 win after Jalen Hyatt stops running his route. The Packers had shots at taking about 5 passes away from Jameis Winston, about 5 interceptions they could have had. Finally, they get one at the very end of the game. But I got to tell you, nothing really stood out to me about that game. Well, with one exception, Mike Kafka and his eyebrows. He looks like Jack Nicholson. Have you seen this guy's eyebrows? Look at him. Look at this guy. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Look at those slanty eyebrows. Mike Kafka looks like a balding, sort of like, I don't know, a balding Jack Nicholson who just, I'm not sure what the look is here, but those eyebrows, ooh, man, if I run into that in a dark alley, it's a little bit scary. And what's with the left eyebrow over here? It looks like he shaved this little part off here. What's Mike Kafka's game with these eyebrows? I just got to ask that question. All right, things you didn't have on the bingo card for tonight's Wednesday Night Live show, Mike Kafka's eyebrows, but there you go. Billy FBC, how you doing, my man? Revenge of Tyrod, 45-6 Jets. Billy bringing the confidence, bringing the fire, maybe a little bit of sarcasm. I'm not quite too sure about that. Billy, glad you're here, my man. Very glad you're here. All right, let's get right into it. All right, we're going to take the 3 and out of there. There we go. Take that out of the queue. And everybody, I'm feeling it. I feel like I still got to say it. I got a good feeling about this. So everybody, we're going to say it together. Say it proud. Say it loud. Let me hear it. There we go. All right. So let's recap this game. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it like I normally would because, let's be honest, it's been 6 days. We don't need to keep reminiscing about this. But I'll say a few things that stood out to me. I respect that the Jets had the aggressiveness to take the football first. They did play it hard, but the mistakes remained. Off-target passes, drop passes, the penalties were coming back. Too many men after a timeout. How do you get a too many men after a timeout penalty? That I had a problem with. And I think I've been pretty fair on these coaches, but too many men after a timeout is just ridiculous. And with the offense, the first drive, it was great. It was great to see them go down the field piece by piece and put the ball in the end zone. But it was really a smoke and mirrors first drive. It was fun to watch, but when you're using a bunch of trickery, it only works for so long. And we realized it. Drive after that, New England goes right down the field, scores a touchdown, and then the Jets did basically nothing except for one other drive the rest of the game. We already knew it, but this quarterback is just not good enough. I mean, I can think of at least 2 passes to A.D. Mitchell that were so off target. I'm seeing people give up on A.D. Mitchell after one game, and to me, that's just laziness. The bottom line with Mitchell, he's got a great release off the line of scrimmage. He has speed. He runs routes very well. And here's the thing. He's never really had an issue dropping passes during his whole career. Going back to Texas with the Colts, drops were not really an issue for him. I think it was just a situation where the wide receiver had not been used to playing with the quarterback and they were still trying to feel each other out. So I'm not ready to say that Mitchell is like stone hands or anything like that. I think it's way too premature to say that. And by the way, when A.D. Mitchell was at Texas, he had a 1.8% drop rate, just to give you a number on that. I thought John Mechie looked fine. Offensive line continues to play well. They just get better by the week. And the better Myles Garrett plays in all these other games, the more impressed I am by Olu Fashanu and Armand Membu on how they all but shut him down. Joe Timmon continues to thrive at right guard. I'm going to talk about a few things with that offensive line once we get into the Ravens here. But again, there are pieces here. I know the start to the season has been miserable. I know it has. But I do think there are some reasons for optimism. And I think this team is going to grow together. They're going to retool. And we're going to see a much better team in the not too distant future. And hey, Breece Hall, hey, I know Breece didn't have a huge game, but he became the first running back this season to put up more than 50 rushing yards against the Patriots defense. So that and a nickel will get you 5 cents. Now, with the defense, here's what I'm going to say about, I got to start with the turnovers. Before 2025, the fewest takeaways in NFL history by a team through 10 games was 5. That was a mark held by 4 different teams. And through 10 games, the Jets have 1 takeaway on defense. If you are advocating the firing of Steve Wilks after 1 year, you know what? I can't argue it. I really can't argue it. I know they wanted to get a coach on staff who had experience, and I completely get it. But Steve Wilks is just not the right fit for this team. I don't know where he is the right fit, but it's not with Aaron Glenn, and it's not with the New York Jets. With Sauce Gardner gone, hey, Stephon Diggs, 9 catches, 105 yards. Quinn Williams gone. Trayvon Henderson, 3 rushing touchdowns and no internal pressure. And I think deep down we knew, most of us knew this was going to happen. You know, Will was banged up. Phillips was banged up. Michael Clemens was actually out in space, which is a disaster. Watching Michael Clemens, it's like he's on ice skates. And one of the things that gave me a little, if anything gave me optimism about this game, is that Drake May had been sacked 35 times going into this game. The Jets barely got near him. And that's what frustrated me the most. You combine that with a secondary that was terribly shorthanded. A.Z. Thomas out, Quantez Stiggers got banged up, and that was it. I was not overly impressed with the New England Patriots in this game. I wasn't. Drake May is a good, efficient quarterback. That's what I saw. He had receivers running wide open all night long, and he just took what the defense gave him. But did that give me the impression that he's like an MVP candidate? No. Matthew Stafford, to me, has been far better than he has. That's my opinion. But did I come out of this thinking, oh my God, we got the next dynasty starting here in New England? No, I didn't feel that way whatsoever. I did not. So Manning, Rodgers, Mahomes, no. Drake May is not on that level yet. Billy SBC, Tyrod, because a man named after a car part can't possibly lose. Okay. Oh my gosh. Indy Jets. Hey, what's up, buddy? Looking forward to Sunday, brother. I'm going to try to make it, man. With my car suddenly having issues over the last couple of days, I don't know if driving on the highway is going to be a good idea for me. We will see. It looks like Friday I'm going to take the day off from work and go car shopping. We'll see what winds up happening. I can't guarantee it, but I will try to make it. And if that doesn't work, I'll try to do it before the season's over. So, but I will try to keep you posted with what's going on. But I just want to be upfront about that. My car is basically turned off while I was driving 4 times since Sunday. I'm a little bit uncomfortable. Usually when I'm making a turn or, slowing down, coming to a turn, sometimes it's shut off twice Sunday and it's shut off twice today. And so I'm a little bit unsettled with this car at this point. I don't know if it's the battery. I don't know if it's the alternator or what it is, but the way the paint's peeling off that car also, now I got mechanical issues. I will tell you this. I'm never going to drive a Hyundai again, ever. I've driven Hondas all my life. This time I went to an Elantra. I had it for 5 years, and I got to tell you, with this happening, I could deal with peeling paint. I can't deal with this. So if you got any mechanics out there, I'm more than open to hearing your input. Fire useless Wilks. Tony, I'm not going to argue with you on that one. I can't. Hey, now, Clemens is a beast. I hope we resign him. Yeah, I think he would be better. He could play center for your Pacers a little bit better. But Isaiah Thomas will get first interception. A.Z. Thomas, you mean? Hey, I hope so. That's right. When life deals you Clemens, make Clemonade. Sounds like a loose battery connection. It would be weird because I've had that battery for 3 years in that car. So it's aging a little bit, but it's not as if it's dead. Here's the thing. I'm having no issue starting the car. That's the problem. If it was starting, that would be one thing. I could deal with that. But it's like when I'm making slow turns sometimes, it just shuts off. I have to turn the car off and start it back up and then get out of there. So that is what is so concerning about it. Because, if I'm driving to, Charlotte, if I'm driving 2.5, 3 hours to Charlotte from Raleigh and I got to take the highway, if the car shuts off at that point, that is going to be bad news. Tony Alexio, Honda is number one. The car that, hey, Honda, if you're out there, I'm open to a sponsor. Honda, the car that sells itself. Remember those commercials from the 90s, 80s, 90s, the car that sells itself. I remember my mom, she had like a little two-door Honda Prelude, little sports car. It was like a canary yellow Honda Prelude. Man, oh man, there's a reason you don't see those cars anymore. Man, it was a fun little car though. Intermittent ground connection problem more than likely. Yeah. I mean, I've taken it to AutoZone. They said the battery was okay. That then, I took it to my boss's mechanic and the voltage was fine. They didn't notice anything there. I mean, if I could fix it for like 200, 300, for like 300-ish, well, the labor is going to be 180 by itself. So it'd be about 400, I would think. But it's like the way the paint's peeling and all that stuff, I could still get about $3,000 back for it. I'm not the kind who likes to flip cars, but at this point, I'm thinking about it. So I'm thinking Friday, I'm going to take the day and do some car shopping and see what comes of it. That's where my mindset is right now, but we'll see. Change your air filters at Walmart for $12. That's a pretty good deal. If only this was an air filter problem, Tony. It's much more than an air filter. I can assure you. The battery cable, the battery itself, the battery cable connection, or some other ground connection. I think I'm going to head back over to the mechanic, which is across the street from where I work tomorrow. He said he told me on Tuesday, if you have problems with it again, bring it in. Or Monday, he said, if you have any issues with it, bring it back. So, I mean, I'll bring it back and let him take a look at it, I guess. But again, I don't know how much longer I want to have this because I'm a little bit tired of it. So it's not a fun thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. It's, I hate to, drop quite a few G's on it, but, I think I'm about tapped out on this Elantra now that I'm having these issues. And if they can't figure out what the issue is, I'm not about to risk it. If it's dangerous for me to drive this car, then, what are we talking about? So, all right, I'll tell you what, guys. Let's get into the snap counts here. There's really nothing to say about special teams, to be honest with you. Billy SBC, start the car, lift the hood, wiggle the positive and negative battery cable, and see if the car stalls. If it does, you located the problem. Okay. Keep that in mind. Guys, I got to be honest. I am no car expert. If you ever see my legs sticking out from under a car, please, God, call 911 because something bad went down, okay? So, that is not me. I barely know where to put the freaking washer fluid in. You know what I'm talking about? So, yeah, I'm not an expert when it comes to this stuff, but thankfully there are people who check batteries and will do that for free. I'm just not optimistic that the problem is being located, and that does give me some concern. All right, let's talk about the snap counts in this game. And here we go. Let's start with the offense. There we go. So we had 57 snaps on offense, up 8 from the prior week against, was that Cincinnati? Yeah, I can barely even remember anymore. Yeah, that was against Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland. All right, so Justin Fields played all 57 snaps, much to our chagrin. Breece Hall, a little bit of an uptick, 41 snaps. Isaiah Davis, 16. Andrew Beck had a little bit of a cutback, only 4 snaps in this game. And then you go to wide receiver. This is going to be so interesting to watch week over week with Garrett Wilson out. John Mechie, 47 snaps, played the vast majority of the game. Tyler Johnson played 30 snaps. Isaiah Williams played 42. That's pretty wild. Basically, they started Mechie and Williams. I mean, I like Isaiah Williams. I like what he's done in the return game, but I don't know if I want to play him that much on offense, if I'm being fair about it. A.D. Mitchell played 28 snaps in his Jets debut, and Arian Smith took the hit. Only 9 snaps in this game, down 24 from the prior week. I got to be honest with you. Is Isaiah Williams that much better on offense than Arian Smith? I don't know. But like we talked about, the issue has been the quarterback. These guys do have an ability to get open, but we have a quarterback who is not delivering the ball. Either he's delivering it too slow or he's delivering it inaccurately. And that's why it makes sense to flip over to Tyrod Taylor. Tight end, Mason Taylor, 43 snaps. Jeremy Ruckert, 25. Pretty straightforward. The 5 starters played all 57 snaps on the offensive line. Let's go to defense. 67 snaps, down 6 from the prior week. Jermaine Johnson, a team high, 46 snaps. Will McDonald, 41, down 11. Did what he could, but he was clearly hobbled. Just did not look right. Michael Clemens played 42, down 1 snap. Tyler Barron got back in, played 19 snaps because Braden McGregor did not play in this game. So the Jets used only 4 defensive ends. Then we go to defensive tackle. Harrison Phillips, he's a tough SOB. I think I'm really glad we traded for Harrison Phillips. 42 snaps. Juwan Briggs played 40. Mozzie Smith played 20 again. Again, I barely noticed him. J.T. Tufele played 16, and Peyton Page was not active for this game. So you saw an increase for Briggs. You saw a decrease for Tufele here. Linebacker, you had Jamian Sherwood play the whole game. Quincy Williams missed only 3 snaps. Kiko Mauagoa returned to the lineup, played 16 snaps, and that glued Michael Walker to the bench. Then at corner, you had Brandon Stevens play the whole game. Jarvis Brownlee, his second straight disappointing game, 61 snaps. Quantez Stiggers finally got a chance, 49 snaps, basically played till he got hurt. Isaiah Oliver played 10, and again, A.Z. Thomas did not play in this game due to his concussion issue. And then at safety, played only 2. Malachi Moore, Tony Adams, Dean Clark did not see the field in this game. So one thing that we see here with Aaron Glenn, Steve Wilkes, and whatnot, as opposed to Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, they ride their guys. You don't see a whole lot of rotation. You don't see a lot of change. Look at this. 3 linebackers, 2 safeties, 4 corners. They don't do a whole lot of subbing. They have the guys that they like, and they trust those guys. They ride those guys. Big difference I'm noticing. I'm not saying one way is right and one way is wrong, but it is a clear difference. All right. So with that out of the way, let's go over to our favorite place, our favorite website. Let's talk a little Tankathon. There we go. All right. So we're going to start with the standings. Now, here's what we're looking at. We've got Tennessee at 1-9. That is the only team clearly that is past the Jets. They're past everybody at this point. And we've got the strength of schedule there on the right. I've actually got an extra slide for you guys tonight that I'm going to show you in a moment. But after that, you've got 5 teams with 2 wins. The Giants at 2-9, and then you have 4 other teams: Cleveland, the Saints, the Jets, and the Raiders, all at 2-8. And then at 3 wins, you've got Washington, Atlanta. That pick will go to the Rams. I believe I have that right. I believe. All right, then Cincinnati and Arizona. All right, I think I have that right. Let me just let me check one quick thing here. Okay. All right, so we look at the strength of schedule. The Jets, the one thing with this week, it's not like their draft standing changed, it didn't, but their SOS went up from 503 to 526. So that took a jump. And now you see a lot of teams with easier strengths of schedule. Now, Tennessee, they're behind. So a green means that the team has the harder strength of schedule, which is good for the Jets draft position. So the Jets would be ahead of Tennessee, the Giants, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. Everybody else is ahead of them. So put it this way, Cleveland better win a game. New Orleans better win a game for sure. Those are the 2 teams. If you're a Jets fan and you want to root for draft position, you've got to root for Cleveland and New Orleans to win at least one more game. Then a little bit behind them, you've got Washington, you've got Atlanta pretty close behind, Cincinnati about the same thing, but the Jets are clear of them at least for right now. All right, now I'm going to show you the next slide. Now this slide is remaining strength of schedule. So I'm showing you the SOS right here, but I thought, okay, this is where this is now, but what does it look like going forward? What kind of schedules do these teams have left on their calendar? So if we look at this, let's go to the Jets first. The Jets have an even 500 schedule remaining. That's 15th in the league. So the way this works is, you see the number in parentheses. If it's first, that's the hardest remaining schedule. 32nd is the easiest remaining schedule. And as you can see, there's a lot of red, which is not good, guys. It's not. Let's start at number 4 with the 4, New Orleans. 347. They have the easiest remaining schedule. Of course, New England has the second easiest schedule remaining. Even Atlanta, 30th. They've got the third easiest schedule. But every team ahead of the Jets has an easier remaining strength of schedule than they do. Tennessee, the Giants, Cleveland, New Orleans. There's only 3 teams here with a harder remaining SOS than the Jets. Now, of course, this could change week to week. What I want to let you know is that's why it's that much more important that teams like Cleveland and New Orleans win. Because the way it's shaping up, if the Jets finish tied with Cleveland, if they finish tied with New Orleans, those teams will be picking ahead of the Jets in the first round. So that's why this is so important. Yeah, I think I did this right before the Raiders lost on Monday. So I think they're actually 2-8, I believe. Yeah, the Raiders are 2-8. So yeah, they're 200. They have a 200 winning percentage as well. They're still in sixth place. All right, so the principle remains the same. All right, let's go to our FPI draft projections. So again, each week during the season, ESPN, they project the draft by simulating the remainder of the season 10,000 times. And what I can tell you is we remain in third place. Right now, we are still scheduled to have the third overall pick in the first round. Our average draft position last week was 4.5. This week, 4.6. Almost nothing changed. The odds of earning the number one pick dropped a little bit. Same for a top 5 pick. The chances of a top 10 pick increased ever so slightly. And just to compare the teams around the Jets, so with draft position, average draft position, the Jets are at 4.6. Tennessee is number 1. Tennessee is at 2.6. Cleveland at 3.4. And the Raiders have now jumped New Orleans. The Raiders are at 5.0. Okay, so that's where that is. And as far as percentage chances to earn the first overall pick, Jets are at 11.6. Tennessee, number 1 by a long shot. Tennessee is at 41.2%. So almost a 1 out of 2 chance that Tennessee will wind up with the first overall pick. Cleveland is at number 2 with a 24.1%. We are at 11.6, and the Raiders are at 8.9%. So that is where we're looking with FPI. And then the draft power rankings. Jets remain in second place behind Cleveland. Both of those teams a good deal ahead of Tennessee, the Raiders, Pittsburgh, Houston, and so on. Quick swig of water for the working man and woman. All right, the Giants are 10th, Phillies 11th, and Baltimore's 12th. So, yeah, things have been a little crazy. I didn't have a chance to do the usual editing that I would do. So, hey, your grace is very much appreciated. But, hey, it's an honest show. We can admit our mistakes when we make them. And like the Jets, we're human. We screw up, and everybody knows it. So why try to hide it? All right, but the Jets are second in the Tankathon draft power rankings. All right, so let's go ahead and get out of there. There we go. Let's take a quick look. Billy, the average winning percentage of the Broncos opponents, 288, the Patriots, 357. Our schedule's been much harder than theirs. Absolutely true, brother. Absolutely true. I think the only team above 500 that the Broncos have beaten is Philadelphia. I think that's it. No, definitely no more than 2 teams at this point. It's pretty crazy. And isn't it just shocking that Jamar Chase is suspended the week that the Bengals play the Patriots? Isn't that just shocking how that happens? Unbelievable. If anybody gets it handed to them easier than New England, I don't know who it is. I really don't. All right, well, let's go ahead and look forward. Let's talk about some. I just got to grab the. I just realized got to grab the trivia question for a little bit later, guys. We'll be doing the trivia a little bit later on tonight, so definitely want to stick around for that. Got a Jets Ravens question for you, and of course, reminder: please hit that thumbs up button. Always appreciate it. All right, so a little bit of Jets news that's going on right now. Tyrod Taylor, as we know, will be starting. The news broken not by Aaron Glenn, but by Diana Rossini. It's the right decision. And the reports that seem to be coming out are saying that Aaron Glenn would have made the change sooner had Taylor not had the knee injury. So there are a lot of people, a lot of content creators mad at Aaron Glenn, called him stubborn, saying that, he's a terrible coach. He refuses to admit a mistake. Well, it doesn't exactly appear to be the case, does it? But this is where I want to take a minute and talk about Justin Fields. I want to talk about the risk. I want to talk about the other options and why I don't believe it was a mistake for him to sign him, even though the deal did not work out. What I want to do, I'm going to pull up his contract here. And these are basically the ramifications. So the Jets signed him to a 2-year, $40 million deal with $30 million of it guaranteed. All you really hear right now is that it was $30 million guaranteed, acting like the Jets got to give him all this money in 1 year. Well, if you look at the going rate for a starting quarterback, that's really not a whole heck of a lot, especially as the salary cap continues to rise. Okay, so let's look at this, because this is all Rich Cimini talked, and this is what bothered me. And not that I dislike Rich, but he only gave you one side of the information, and that's what bothered me. Because all he talked about was a pre-June 1st release. Remember, you can always designate somebody as a post-June 1st release. It's just that you're kind of pushing the cap hit out a little bit. But what he basically indicated was that it would be a $22 million dead cap hit if they released him, and the Jets would save $1 million. Well, if they were to do it a post-June 1st release, then the dead cap hit is only $13 million. The dead in $13 million, you also have to deal with a $9 million dead cap hit, but you do save $10 million in 2026. So you do have more money to work with. So it is the same total amount, but there are different options. It's not as if you have to pay the $22 million to Fields next year plus the $35 million dead cap hit to Aaron Rodgers. And by the way, if we kept Rodgers, that cap hit would be even bigger, and that would be spread out over a longer period of time. But with all the space the Jets have, if they have to take on a $9 million dead cap hit in 2027, it's not going to be overly horrific. And if they can pull off a trade, which I don't expect, that would be amazing. But then that would be a $12 million dead cap hit, and they would save the $11 million. That would be about the best situation. And if they trade in post June 1st, which I don't think that'll be the case. You deal with $12 million total in dead cap money, and you save $20 million in 2026. Ideally, somebody would take him on in a trade. I just don't know what team that would be. When you've run through 3 different teams in basically 6 years, what are we really talking about? So that is the deal with Justin Fields' contract. So we'll see what the Jets wind up doing. Personally, I think they would. I just don't know what other options there would be. But do you want him as a bridge quarterback, as somebody who's like a veteran mentor to a quarterback that we draft? I personally don't. So I think they'll do what they can to trade him. We'll see what winds up happening. But I just wanted to make it clear. It's not as if the Jets release him. They have to take on a $22 million dead cap hit in 2026. So, but here's the whole thing. The Jets wanted a bridge quarterback, but they wanted upside at the same time. They wanted character. They wanted toughness. And it made sense to sign Justin Fields for those reasons. But in 4 of the last 5 games, the Jets have not had over 150 passing yards. And a lot of that is on the quarterback. There have been receivers running open. Fields just doesn't hit them consistently. And I'm not going to stop saying this. It was his inaccurate pass that initially injured Garrett Wilson, that caused that hyperextended knee, which now is a sprained MCL. And there's a couple of arguments going out there that I have a little bit of an issue with. One of them is the Jets can't evaluate quarterbacks just because they signed Justin Fields. This whole thing. How can you trust Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji to draft and develop a quarterback after they basically said Justin Fields is our guy? I don't think Justin Fields was ever truly their guy. It was a 2-year contract worth $40 million total. That's all that contract was for. They didn't give him the Trevor Lawrence contract. They didn't give him the Joe Burrow contract. They didn't give him the Jared Goff contract. It was nothing like that. It was an opportunity where let's see if this guy works out. If it doesn't work out, okay, we can get out of it. Now, it's turned out worse than I think they could have ever imagined. Can't deny that. But you have many more options coming up in the draft than you do in free agency. Oh, another argument. Don't give me the argument the Jets haven't drafted and developed a quarterback since Joe Namath. Therefore, we shouldn't be drafting. I mean, I could point you easily to Chad Pennington, to Kenny O'Brien, both very good quarterbacks, never the best in the NFL, but very, very good. I could point you to Mark Sanchez when he was serviceable, who was put in a position to succeed with a great surrounding cast, and he did succeed for 3 years. But even if this was true, even if the Jets were completely inept at developing quarterbacks, how did the mistakes of the Jets regimes over the last 50 years affect a regime that's been here for less than 1 calendar year? The answer is it doesn't. Did it affect Kansas City that they didn't have a truly great quarterback since maybe Len Dawson when they drafted Patrick Mahomes? It didn't matter. They had the right coach, the right support system, and it worked. And you know me, I don't want to give New England credit, but, Tom Brady had a fine career despite all of the shady business that he had going on. But the Patriots don't have any Hall of Fame quarterbacks in their history before him. So I don't want to hear about the history of Jets failures and why the Jets are unable to develop a quarterback. To me, that's a quitting attitude. And as Jets fans, we're better than that. AJ said it himself. We're the New York Jets, and we're built for this shit. But we take a look back at free agency last year and what was available. Look at the other options that were out there, guys. Just think about it. Yes, Billy. Yes, the curse. Trading Joe Namath to the Rams is the reason we can't develop a quarterback. Of course. How silly of me to ignore the curse. Brady Cook should have been played a month ago. Tony, we don't know what he is. When he's ready to play, he'll get an opportunity. I'll say this. I really hope when he does play, and I do my first show after that you can come back in and you can say the exact same thing, that he should have been played 2 months ago. I hope you're right, Tony. I truly, truly do. But look at the other options that were out there. Sam Darnold, he was never coming back to the Jets. Daniel Jones, I would have been very intrigued by signing him, but I feel like he had to leave New York. I think Jones needed, I hate to ever use the argument, well, this guy can't play in New York. He's not built for it. I think Jones just needed a new start, period, and more of a quiet area. I think it's better for him that he left. Aaron Rodgers, enough said, we just cut him. Russell Wilson, his career is all but done. Joe Flacco, well, he looks good when he's surrounded by T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but we'd already had that dance. Didn't look too good when he was with Cleveland, did he? Now, guys like Marcus Mariota or Jacoby Brissett, you know what? They would have been pretty good, but we know what they are. We know what they are. They can win a few games for you, but there is only so much upside you're going to get from them. They're backups. I mean, did you want to go into the season with a combination of Marcus Mariota and Tyrod Taylor? Who's going to get excited about that? There was not the upside there. Mac Jones, he's in San Francisco. He had to go to quarterback rehab to be good. And see exactly what I'm talking about, Billy. Exactly. Stan didn't immediately excel once he left here. That's right. He went to Carolina and failed. He went to San Francisco and sat on the bench and learned how to play quarterback under Kyle Shanahan. Then he went to Minnesota and succeeded. He may never be anything more than a quarterback who will win regular season games and get eliminated in his first playoff game. That may be his whole career. But it's a lot farther than where he was when he was with a Jet and when he was a Panther. So, yes, you're exactly right. I'm telling you, Zach Wilson, he'll be in San Francisco within 2 years. 2 years. Trying to get his rehab on. Jameis Winston, all you have to do is watch Giants-Packers. You know what he is. He's a complete roller coaster. He can make some great throws, but he makes some throws that just make you want to bang your head into a wall. And supposedly, from what I saw, I think Nick Farley wrote this, the Jets were not sold on the quarterbacks in this year's draft. Now, that does give me pause. I got to ask, what did they not see in Jackson Dart? What were they looking for they didn't see in Jackson Dart? Or what about Jackson Dart concerned them? That's a good question because he's working out more than fine with the Giants despite his current concussion issue. And I know Dart's got to be polished a little bit. He's got to be reined in a little bit. But we've seen the raw ability. We've seen what he has to offer. Why weren't the Jets into him? And don't get me wrong, I'm not upset about taking Armand Membu to play right tackle. By no means. He's fantastic. He's a stud. He's going to be a Pro Bowler one day. But I wonder if the Jets weren't high on Jackson Dart, why? That's my concern. And then there's trade options. You know, with the Jets having all this draft capital, having all this cap space, there are trade rumors as of late. And I've seen a few names. I've heard about Kyler Murray. I would not give up a mid-round pick for Kyler Murray. No shot. No shot. Geno Smith, he's not coming back to the Jets. He's been a complete disappointment with the Raiders. I've seen Tua. I mean, come on. Never mind the concussions. Do you think the Jets and Dolphins are making that trade? No shot. I even saw one guy email Mike Francesa. Hey, Mike, you think the Jets could trade for Trevor Lawrence? I don't know. Trevor Lawrence, he's a good quarterback. But I don't know if the Jaguars would make that deal. They're in Duval County. Okay. Trevor Lawrence, here's the thing. He just signed a 5-year, $275 million extension with Jacksonville. That was signed in June of 2024. This is the second year of that 5-year deal. It includes a full no-trade clause. It will keep him with the team through 2030. And in those last 2 years, by the way, last 2 years of that contract, you know what the total cap is? The total cap hit is $153 million. Woof. And even then, how great of a quarterback is Trevor Lawrence? He's okay. Top 15 quarterback, maybe? Top 15? And think, people wanted us to tank to bring him in. He's not that quarterback. Certainly not worth that contract, even if he could be traded. Do you want to pay Trevor Lawrence $55 million a year plus $153 million in his last 2 years? I'm not for it. And I'll tell you this, CJ Stroud, I'm going to keep bringing up the name. I would love to bring him in, but he is eligible to sign an extension with Houston after this season. Texans have him on a rookie contract, and if they pick up that fifth-year option, which I'm sure they will, they could control him for another 2 years. Unless he asks for a trade, I don't know if it's happening. But I got to tell you, Houston's been playing better offense with Davis Mills over the last 2 weeks. But I'm just going to hold on to the dream until I can't hold on to it anymore. But my argument remains. The Jets can't go into next year with Justin Fields, Brady Cook, and another like mid-round quarterback or somebody like that, like a Kenny Pickett, as a free agent. You can't sell that. They know their season tickets are down. They're trying to put people in the building. It's not going to work. The Jets are going draft. Woody Johnson wants the sizzle. He wants the sizzle even more, I think, than he wants the steak. And to me, that's a bit of an issue. A little bit of an issue. Retire 80 already. How you doing, man? It's Wicker Wednesday. Yep, it sure is, and I'm glad that you're here to hang out with us for it. Tony, no trades unless a trade down. I'm not trading down this draft. I'm not. I'm just. You have to bring in the best players. Sometimes would you rather bring in one great player or two good players? Sometimes a great player makes up the difference. You need difference makers. This team needs more difference makers. They've lost a few of them recently over the last year. They lost some of their difference makers. They need needle movers, guys who are going to change the feel. And I'm not interested in two okay guys just kind of fitting in. I want guys who change the feel, change the room, change the attitude. That's what I want. And I think Aaron Glenn wants the same thing too. Billy SBC, Trevor Lawrence is a perfect example of draft hype. They all said he was a generational talent. Nobody like him since insert Hall of Fame quarterback here. Exactly. I even seen Jackson Dart got the generational. I mean, how is a generation only 2 years? It's just comical. There are certain phrases to me that are way, way overused. Generational is one. I think people use the word overrated too much. I think people use GOAT way too much. Those are just 3 examples. All right. Let's get into a little bit of Kalen Saunders, this defensive tackle the Jets just signed, who I think is going to put Mozzie Smith on the bench this week. So who is Kalen Saunders? Well, he's 29 years old, was a third-round pick in 2019, won 2 Super Bowls in Kansas City. He then went to New Orleans for, I think, a 3-year contract, then to Jacksonville in a trade. And this year with the Jaguars, he's played only 2 games, had 3 tackles. And the interesting thing with Saunders is he chose the Jets. The Jets didn't just choose him. The Cardinals, the Colts, and the Ravens were also interested in signing him. So think about that. The Colts, one of the best teams in the AFC. The Ravens, a perennial power, on their way back up, winners of 4 straight. They wanted Saunders, and he chose the Jets over those other teams. Now, for his career, Saunders has played 70 games, made 32 starts, and with those starts, he has 6.5 sacks, 7 tackles for a loss, 17 quarterback hits, 6 pass deflections, and 184 tackles. What Saunders does is he plays the run well, and the Jets' defense is currently 20th, allowing 4.3 yards allowed per rush. So the Jets have basically turned over their entire defensive tackle room from, August. It's almost a complete turnaround where you can't even recognize anybody left on the team. Think about it. Quinnen's gone. Derek Notty's gone. Leonard Taylor's gone. And in their place, you have Harrison Phillips, Juwan Briggs, Kalen Saunders, Mozzie Smith. So a lot has changed with this defensive tackle room. All right. One more piece of news I want to talk about here, and that is there he is with the Saints. Yeah. Maybe that was his reaction finding out he was going to the Jets. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's talk a little bit of Hall of Fame because we have some news here on the Hall of Fame selection process as we try to get our guy Nick Mangold into the Hall of Fame. So there are currently 52 names for the modern era. On November 25th, 6 days from now, on Tuesday at 9 a.m., that list of 52 will be reduced to 25 semifinalists. The two Jets on that list are Nick Mangold and John Abraham. Will Mangold make it to that level? I think there's a chance he could. My concern is he still has to deal with Marquise Pouncey from Pittsburgh, and I'm worried that some voters will look at him a little bit ahead of Mangold. I think if Mangold doesn't get it now, you better hope Pouncey gets in soon, because I don't see a situation where Pouncey and Mangold get it at the same time. So hopefully they will be able to make that happen. The Hall of Fame doesn't have a lot of centers to begin with. They really don't. So I'm hoping that if Mangold doesn't get in this year, that Pouncey does, and maybe that'll give Mangold a better chance of going into next year. All right. A couple injury notes real quick. A.Z. Thomas should be good for Sunday. He is expected to be cleared from concussion protocol. Will McDonald will play. The Jets have also designated Marcelino McCurry-Ball their special teams captain to return from IR. And Baltimore resting a bunch of guys this week. Right now in practice, as of Wednesday, not practicing, Lamar Jackson, Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, Rashad Bateman, Ronnie Stanley, Andrew Voorhees, Isaiah Likely, all not practicing. So a lot of these guys are banged up. Ravens need some rest. Let's see what happens. All right, let's do a little bit of a game preview here. I'm going to talk for a minute about this game. Oh boy. All right. Well, I'll just give it to you. 5 things to know about the Baltimore Ravens. All right, here we go. So, again, I wasn't at work today with everything going on. Didn't really have a chance to make the updates that I normally would. So we'll take the slides out. We'll just chat, you and me, for a little bit. All right. 5 things to know about the Baltimore Ravens. Now, some of these things were pretty surprising. They're averaging 180 passing yards per game. That is the 4th lowest in the NFL. More than the Jets, mind you, but still 4th lowest. Of course, we have to keep in mind Lamar Jackson did miss a couple of games there. The Ravens are 29th in red zone percentage, 47%. So less than half the time when they enter the red zone do they score a touchdown. What makes that so stunning is last year, they were number 1 in the NFL. Last year, they converted 74% of their red zone opportunities into touchdowns. This year, they're 29th at 47%. Huge, huge difference from last year, and one of the main reasons they have struggled the way that they have. Number 3, no Raven defender has more than 2 sacks all season. Now, traditionally, I think we think of the Baltimore Ravens, we think of a dominant, fierce, fundamental team that is typically led by Lamar Jackson and their defense. They are not that right now. Their 2 best players on defense are probably Roquan Smith, an inside linebacker who makes tackles, and Kyle Hamilton, who does a little bit of everything in the safety position. But you don't really have that fierce pass rusher that they have had so often during their time. Number 4, you can pressure this team up the middle. Andrew Voorhees, they brought him in as a free agent at left guard. He has failed. Daniel Falele, he is under fire at right guard. They drafted him, I believe, from Connecticut. He is not working out at all. I'll tell you what, if Quinnen Williams was still here, he could have feasted against this offensive line, especially the version of Quinnen Williams that showed up for the Dallas Cowboys on Monday against the Raiders. Not that I'm bitter, not that I'm upset. It's all good. We got a nice haul for him. It's okay. But the bottom line is that the Ravens, when I go and read what Raven fans are saying about the team, what Ravens media is saying about the team, they are really, really worried about this offensive line. Ronnie Stanley's been there a long time. He's been struggling. Roger Rosengarten at right tackle. He might be related to the kid pitcher from Rookie of the Year, Gardenhoser, Rulenfurter, whatever his name is. No, but Rosengarten, he has been brutal at both pass and run protection. He has not done his job. This offensive line of the Ravens can be had. I'm telling you guys. If the Jets get a pass, Lamar Jackson has had it rough because teams are getting pressure up the middle. Can the Jets do that without Quinnen Williams? That's going to go a long way to determining how this game goes. At number 5, the Jets have only beaten the Ravens 1 time since 1998. The Jets beat the Ravens in the calendar year of 1997, first time the 2 teams ever played. Since then, the Jets are 1-10 against Baltimore. The Jets just never seem to be able to beat this team. Will this Sunday be different? Can't tell you I'm overly confident. I can't tell you I'm overly confident, but I can tell you, just because you see the Jets and the Ravens, it does not mean that they are the teams that we think that they are, especially this Baltimore team. I know they've won 4 in a row, but I'm telling you, it's a vulnerable Ravens team. The question is, can the Jets exploit it? We will find out. All right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and do our do the trivia for tonight. There we go. So, everybody, we know the deal. Every week, I head down into the labyrinth of Jets knowledge. I bust open the books. I dust off the Encyclopedia Britannica. I go into the Jets dark web, and I, watch you K99, challenge you, the most loyal fans of the most loyal fan base in the National Football League. How much do you know about your New York Jets? So if you are ready, you know what time it is. Let's play Jets trivia. There we go. All right. So you know the deal. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. I'm going to put the question on the screen. If you think you know the answer, pop that answer right there into the comments. Let's see if we can get it. So tonight's question. The Jets defeated the Ravens 24-16 back in October of 2016. It was their only win against the Ravens since 1998. Who recorded the Jets' only interception of the game? So on defense, who had the Jets' only interception? Because believe it or not, I know a lot of people don't believe this, but the Jets actually used to intercept passes that the opposing quarterbacks threw. Shocking. So it was a 24-16 victory. Ryan Fitzpatrick came in for Geno Smith in that game, and the quarterback for the Ravens was our old buddy Joe Flacco. And there was actually one other interception, but I believe it was called back with a penalty. So, and again, guys, thanks for being flexible with the later start time with all the craziness going on. It was very, very crazy, but got to do the show. So, and next week we'll see what winds up happening. I'm supposed to head to Charlotte that day for Knicks Hornets. So we might do it on a different time, but I'll be sure to put a post up to let you know if we do it on a different day. But as crazy as things are right now, I might want to do the show on Tuesday. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly when I'll be doing it, but maybe even Thanksgiving morning. I don't know for sure when we're going to do it. Maybe it'll be a Black Friday thing. I'll try to keep us posted on when we do the show. I got to think about it, but I'll have a post up by Friday to let you know about that particular week. So a little bit of craziness. Life happens, and we just roll with it. Tony Alexio goes with Jim Leonard. Not Jim Leonard. So 2016. So we're going during the Todd Bowles era. That season, basically right after we had our last winning season, and things kind of started to fall apart under Todd Bowles. Yeah, so these are the Jets when well, let's see what happened. Matt Forte ran for a touchdown. Yeah, he had 30 carries for 100 yards in that game. Both Fitzy and Geno Smith played in that game. The Bills' leading rusher in that game was Terrence West, 8 carries for 10 yards. Wow, they could not run. They could not run the ball to save their lives. Oh, Rashad Perriman was on the Ravens back then. The next Jet player to get an interception was a free used Hyundai Elantra. God, hey, just give me a couple of thousand. Yeah, pay me the 3,000 back for it, and I'll give it to him. Sure. Sell it for parts. I don't mind. Tony goes with Darrelle Revis. Not Darrelle Revis. This is not a very popular cornerback in Jets lore. Let's put it that way. This guy also played with. Let's see. He played with the Chicago Bears as well. Yeah, he was with the Brown. Yeah, I think that kind of gives away. He was with the Browns, the Jets, the Bears. Went to the Titans. Nick Folk. Okay. But yeah, he's a cornerback. Browns, Jets, Bears. I think that'll kind of narrow it down for you a little bit. I see we got a nice little influx of people coming in. Welcome to the folks just dropping in. We're doing our trivia question. And if you think you know the answer, pop it in. David, Kyle Wilson. Not Kyle. Kyle Wilson was like allergic to interceptions, you know? All right, we got about a little over 1 minute to go here on the clock. Retire. Hey, Eddie, how you doing? Dexter McDougal. No, not Dexter McDougal. David goes with Buster Screen. Is it Buster Screen? Sure is. Buster Screen. There it is. And there he is taking the ball back. That is an actual picture of the interception itself. How about that? Yeah, I realize this one might have been a little bit tough, so I decided to narrow it down for you. So David, well done. You got it correct. All right, let's go ahead and stop the timer. All right, guys. Thanks. Very, very well done. Let's do a quick check over here. Hey, how are we doing on likes here, guys? How are we doing? All right, very good. All right, guys. So well done. I will be recording. I know that the next couple of days is going to be a little bit crazy. Got to get this car thing worked out. So that's going to make things a little bit nuts. But my goal is to have the picks video out before the start of Thursday Night Football. And certainly by Saturday morning, let's say. It looks like Friday is going to be a car shopping day pretty much all day. So even if I got to take a bunch of caffeine or do whatever I got to do to get the Jets Ravens preview video out, I will do that. Also, the 5 bowl predictions video there. And Indiana Jets fan, if you're there, again, thanks for inviting me to Charlotte. I will get there if I can. But again, with this car, I am not driving it on the highway. I think it's just too dangerous the way that it was breaking down. Staying the Browns help? Yeah, it does. Yeah, he was with the Browns, and Buster Screen was just so notorious for penalties. I felt like he was taking a penalty every drive. It'd be another Buster Screen penalty. He was just really frustrating. And I think he actually just wound up in jail, didn't he? Let me double check this. Had a pretty long career. Oh yeah, that's right. Arrested in 2023 in Canada for bank fraud related charges. He created accounts at multiple banks in Durham region, which is in southern Ontario, and used fraudulent checks to withdraw over $100,000. The scheme started in September 2022. He was arrested at Toronto's Pearson International Airport after he made arrangements to return to the U.S. He is currently facing 15 charges to include fraud and possession of property obtained by crime. So we got fraud going on. So guys like Donald LaGreca like to talk about fraud. Well, here we go. Fraud! Good luck with my reliable Honda. You know what? If the Honda's the best bet, that's what I'm going to go with, and I'm very open to going back to Hondas. I sure am. But I will never drive a Hyundai ever again in my life unless maybe it's a rental. That was just some BS. All right. He blamed Canada. I would always blame them too. I would always blame them as well. All right, everybody. We're going to go ahead and call it a night. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your week. And by the way, if you're a New York Mets fan, check out the video I did today. I did a 25-minute video just on starting pitchers the Mets could acquire either via trade or free agency. So if you're a Mets fan, that's a video that you will want to check out. All right, everybody. Thanks very much for hanging. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you all right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Have a good night, everybody.